When we're born, we already have the ability to be empathic. Some other animal species, such as dogs, demonstrate proof of this ability, and thus exhibit a certain empathy level. Simply put, they know how to emote themselves. On the other hand, most people are unable to understand the feelings of other people truly. This is why the syndrome of invisible aggression exists. When people do not know how to relate to other people, conflict can escalate. To avoid conflict, people tend to want to separate themselves from others. That is why there are hostility and violence in relationships. The desire for autonomy and self-protection can sometimes lead to abuse within any relationship, which people sometimes mistake to be the desire of a spirit. Indeed, while people want to separate themselves from others, they also want to respect them. The paradox is that respect needs to be earned. There are 3 schools of thought on why empathy is formed. Psychology, which teaches the just say you agree with me approach. Alternatively, it is also taught that empathy begins with don't like me. This is the position that implies that the person who is different from you is actually wrong. This really is just another effort of psychologists to get people to see that they are surrounded and not special. Some of these views are not new and are not really competing. One way of achieving empathy is to teach the importance of empathy and get people to pay attention to it. Niceness theory notes that people tend to be empathetic because they see others' effects, instead of merely slighted toward the person doing the perceiving. Application of niceness theory notes that non-empathic people are less likely to view situations from a place of consideration. Thus, empathy is not so much something that is learned as it is something that is experienced. Psychological studies have found that people with high levels of empathy are less likely to become anxious, feel depressed, engage in conclusion in construction, dithering, or show signs of psychosomatic symptoms. Empathy is also associated with a more even-handed style of treating others that appears more natural and kind. While empathy is important to our well-being, it's not essential to our happiness. In fact, on some issues, our decision to share our emotions with others can make us and others unhappy. Take, for example, the need to control and change others. Often, we do this to protect ourselves. In doing so, we cease to see the benefits that others offer and have a hard time accepting that they are as humans as we are. So, we stick closer to our beliefs about why that particular person will be a pain in the ass to us. The usual concern that our hard feelings will prevent us from forming supportive relationships is another indication that empathy isn't exactly the cornerstone of our happiness. Empathy isn't even close to being the most important emotional need we should pursue. While it is related to our physical, emotional, and psychological needs, other aspects of our well-being merit more attention. Knowing the benefits of empathy will motivate us to ache for others, even if they don't deserve it. One might ask, if empathy is a natural state, what is the process of obtaining it? Strictly speaking, empathy is not a natural state, but rather something that must be developed. Much of the world is bereft of peace and wonder regarding its significance. With the conditions on Earth as it is at present, no one really knows what will happen. But one thing is certain: humanity is headed for its lowest ebb before what may be its final, immense rise. There has always been a cyclical selective pressure that has affected the long-term survival of species. The theory of evolution, based on cause and effect, is an example of this selective pressure. Some believe that humanity is on a fast track to destruction. Is this the truth? An educated guess would not be adequate. It is possible that the human race may have esoteric communication occurring on its way toward annihilation. Some have called this process mind weakness. The problem with the theory of evolution and mind weakness is that they don't mix well. They could not be more opposed to each other. The theory of mind weakness is that, regardless of how intelligent the race may be, humanity's concept cannot be formed in thought. It can only be experienced. Thus, in our day-to-day world, the theory of mind weakness has not yet found the correct articulation in our minds. The implicit rejection of the theory of evolution has created a great vacuum in the arena of science. Any theory that is developed with an open mind will help our understanding of the natural world. In fact, such a theory would not have been considered during the formation of Darwin's theory. Many people today are familiar with the biblical argument concerning the weak and the strong. The weak will be strong, and the strong will be strong. This argument is often interpreted to mean a hierarchy of civilizations, with more advanced societies being the upper ones. This is a metaphor that fits well in some ways, but in others, lacks meaning. The fact is that life is all around us, and we can better make use of it by being familiar with the rules and influences that nurture life. Life encourages us to stay on one particular planet. In this way, we can better determine the value of life and decide if we are getting enough.